Do you really want to be in the real estate business? Today on the Daily Ish Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Daily Ish Show, a show not just for rental housing providers, but anybody looking to get a little bit more white space on your calendar, or really just to have a little bit more flexibility in your calendar, being able to do the things that you really want to do. Welcome to the show again today. My name is Mark Dolfini. It's good to see you all. It's good to see you. Yeah, we're just coming off of this past weekend, which was an awesome weekend for the folks that are in the inner circle. We got to meet at a mastermind, and I'll talk about the mastermind here at the end here in a little bit. But it was these are such great opportunities for the inner circle members. In the elite group, the elite group is just the name of that particular group. And so Group Elite got to meet. They are maxed out at 12 members, and really got to pour into each other. It was just a fantastic weekend. I really loved doing that. That was Friday and Saturday. Held in Indianapolis, and so everybody came here to see that. So it was really cool. There's people come in from Atlanta. There's folks that drive in from Missouri or Wisconsin and up near Chicago and so forth. So it's just a really good opportunity. So if you've not been ever involved in a mastermind, really would recommend you looking into that. But we'll talk about that here at the end. So today we're going to be talking about, do you really want to be in the real estate business? Now, again, there are so many people. Real estate has been on fire. Unless you've been living under a rock, you just know that real estate has been on fire. In fact, really everything's been on fire lately, including the economy, and necessarily burning down around it. But the dollar strengthening in value. There's some really cool things going on in the silver and gold, although that has been losing its value. But that's because of the strengthening dollar, which is interesting seeing that, not making that about a big play. But of course, crypto is making a big surge in the last week or so, which is really interesting to watch that go on. But the real big thing is that there's lots of people who are still very interested in real estate. And I know that, all you have to do is just see the population of realtors that have grown in the last couple of years. I mean, that population of real estate agents has grown like Catholic rabbits. So yeah, there's a lot of people who are interested in real estate right now, and for good reason, because obviously real estate is a hedge against inflation. Inflation hasn't been where it has been now for the last, I don't know, 2.5 decades. Well, probably even longer than that, probably like 3 decades. And, growing up as a kid, we didn't really have to worry about inflation. It wasn't like a big thing. As I was, 7, 8, 9 years old, we were coming out of a hyperinflationary environment. Now we're not, now all of a sudden this is back and we've been spoiled, and people are saying, I don't want to pay 7% on a mortgage. That's too high. I'm like, man, if you only remembered, if you only knew, because I believe that mortgage rates back in 1980, or maybe 79, 80, I'm going to get the date wrong, but those rates capped out at 21.5% back during that time. So it can get really expensive, guys and gals. And I just don't want you to think about, so do you really want to be in the real estate business? So this goes back, again, if you know anything about the VIP method that I talk about in the Time Wealthy Investor 2.0, of course, it's going to go back to, well, what's your vision? What is the vision that you're trying to accomplish? What is it that you're trying to do? So it's just really interesting when I have these conversations with folks and I say, really more important than that is, are you looking to have complete and total control of your calendar? Who out there, by a show of hands, or just go ahead and say, I do, that you want to have complete and total control over your calendar so you can do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, for however long you want to do it. Who would be interested in a life like that? Well, many people think that real estate is the way to do that. Well, let me just ask you that, if I was asked this, and I know a lot of the folks who watch this show are into real estate, but if I was to ask this somewhat rhetorically, but not really, well, okay, but what if you woke up tomorrow morning with $30 million in your bank account, but you didn't make that via real estate? Okay, now I know that there's folks out there who live and die real estate, and I see them on TikTok and I see them on Instagram, and they're pounding their fists about how much they live, breathe, and die real estate. Okay, I get that. But there's plenty of people who live, breathe, and die crypto. There's plenty of people who live, breathe, and die whatever, right? But I want to make a point here. Most of the people who are old enough to remember 9/11, when 9/11 happened, 9/11 was a pretty terrible day. But we as Americans also had a pretty amazing day on 9/12 because you could not buy an American flag. You couldn't find one. In fact, it was so hard to buy. And of course, we rallied around each other. But it was really interesting just to make this point is that, okay, if you live, breathe, and die real estate, even those people back then who did, you know, what was your first phone call? Was it to, call your favorite vendor, and ask them about, have they signed their contract yet? Or was it you dialing your loved one to say, holy crap, are you okay? Right? Did you finish that email that was so important? Or did you get up and walk away from your desk and get glued to the TV and get on your cell phone and try to call someone that you really cared about? Was that, really, was that what you did? Now, we all know the answers. So if that's really the case, then you don't really live, breathe, and die real estate. You really live, breathe, and die relationships, if we're being honest, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because obviously whether you woke up with $30 million in your bank account or not, I don't want you confusing. And I did this wrong forever. I did this wrong for a really long time until I realized what I was doing was I was confusing a job description for a life description. Right. What I do for money has that actually absolutely nothing to do with who I am. And that was the really interesting thing, that once I got really clear about what it was that I was trying to do. Now, again, I got this wrong for a really long time. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, well, that's easy for you to say, you did. No, I did not get this right for a really long time. I buried a lot of really good relationships that realistically, could have and should have survived, but I was focusing on the wrong things. So when I'm saying, do you really want to be involved in the real estate business? Do you really want to be in the real estate business? What is your vision? What are you trying to accomplish? What exactly it is you're trying to accomplish? And can you reverse engineer a real estate business that will deliver that vision for you? Right. And one of the things I learned in a really hard way is that relationships do not automatically take care of themselves. You just don't set them on autopilot. They have to be nurtured. They have to be fed. My relationship with my gal, once with Jen and I, once we really started to get intentional about the relationship and about starting feeding that relationship in every way that means, right? For us, our relationship went on like a rocket ride, and as many of you know, where baby Liliana is due in another 3 months. Please keep Jen in your prayers because her feet keep swelling up like two cantaloupes. But we're on the home stretch. We're in the third trimester, so we're really excited, right? But because of that, now we have relationships that we can really get. We have a relationship which is amazing, right? I've got a gal that watches my six and I watch hers, right? My relationship with our children, right? Much more intentional. But these relationships don't automatically take care of themselves. So it's just really interesting that once I focus, and again, I didn't always get this right. And that was the hard thing to admit to myself was, holy crap, I got this wrong for so many years. And, but now I get to be more intentional with this. Now, did real estate allow me to have this lifestyle that I actually get to enjoy now? Yes, it did. But it was because I started putting my vision first and allowing the business to, to reverse engineer the business, allowing the business to serve my vision rather than me becoming a slave to the business. And I only say this because, again, I travel around quite a bit. And I go back to this all the time in terms of my personal vision. I go back to this all the time to say, look, what is your vision for your life? What are you trying to accomplish at the end of the day? And again, many answers that I get are a business vision, not a personal vision. The business vision would be, well, I want 100 rental units. Well, again, remember what I've said this before is when you create a business vision before you create a personal vision, you end up creating a life that exists to serve the business. So coming back to the original question, do you really want to be in the real estate business? I think whether you do or whether you don't does not really matter. But is this going to serve a vision for you? I have a client who is in the inner circle that I met this past weekend, who had he was in a cleaning business, and he recognized that his cleaning business was never going to deliver his personal vision for him the way that he wanted it. So he metaphorically burned it all down, and he got really clear about what it was that he wanted to accomplish in his life, and picked up, moved to a completely different state in a completely different city, and set up a whole new life. And after he set that aside, now he's like, okay, cool, now I get to actually build the life that I actually want. So again, I would invite you to burn it all down. If you're not in the real estate business now and you think you want to be, burn it all down metaphorically and say, if I'm going to rebuild this, if I was going to build this starting tomorrow, what would it look like? If you're currently in the real estate business, and and just again metaphorically burn that down and say, do I really, if I was to rebuild it tomorrow, what would I rebuild in its place? Would I be back in the real estate business again? So don't just build something because you're basing an idea on a spreadsheet. And the only reason I say this is because you can wind up creating a business that ends up ruining your life and running your life, and it's not at all what you actually want in the end. So yeah, so that's it. So the interesting thing about the mastermind, which was this past weekend, that's all part of the folks who are in the inner circle, and they get one-to-one coaching. They get to coach one another. They get an amazing community. I'm actually in the process of forming a second group called the Gold Group, and the Gold Group is actually meeting this Saturday. And we got folks coming in from Louisiana. We got folks coming in from Nashville, folks coming in from Louisville, Northern Indiana. So it's just it's pretty cool seeing all these folks converged and being able to share and pour into one another. So it's pretty cool. If you are interested in something like that, go to the Landlord Coach site, landlordcoach.com. There's a contact me section in there. You can drop me a line, and we'll get on and see if it's something that you want, and see if it would get you closer to your actual vision. And that's something, of course, that we work on together. And I'll help you get your vision figured out, and of course, getting and reverse engineering a business that will get you closer to that. So that is all I have for today, folks. Please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. And most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have an awesome day. I'll see you next time.